Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time we're going to be looking at something that you use every single day but probably don't think too much about, and that is memory. We often treat our memories like perfect little recordings of the past, but what if I told you that they're actually way more malleable than you think?
That's right. Our memories are definitely not set in stone. They're surprisingly vulnerable to influence and even distortion.
Exactly. And leading the charge on all of this is psychologist Elizabeth Loftus. Her work on the misinformation effect has really changed the way that we think about and understand memory.
Loftus's research is so fascinating because it really clearly shows how easily misleading information can alter our recollections.
So let's unpack this whole misinformation effect. What exactly did Loftus's early research reveal about how our memories can be kind of swayed?
Well, one of her early groundbreaking studies involved showing participants film clips of car accidents. Afterward, she would ask them questions, but she tweaked the wording just slightly. So some participants were asked about the speed when the cars smashed into each other, while others heard the word contacted instead.
So same footage, different word choice. Did that small change actually have an impact on people's memories of the accident?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those who heard the word smashed, they estimated significantly higher speeds, even though they had seen the exact same video. This really clearly demonstrates how even a single word can contaminate our memories and lead us to recall events differently than they actually happened.
That's mind-blowing. It's like our memories are being rewritten without us even knowing it.
Precisely. And this has huge implications, especially when you think about the role of memory in our justice system.
Yeah, because eyewitness testimony has long been considered this cornerstone of legal proceedings. But if memories can be manipulated so easily, what does that mean for the reliability of those accounts?
That is the very question that Loftus has dedicated her career to exploring. And the Innocence Project, which works to exonerate wrongly convicted individuals, found that a staggering 70% of cases later overturned by DNA evidence initially relied on eyewitness testimony.
7%, wow. That's a really alarming statistic, and it really underscores the potential for error when we rely solely on memory.
Exactly. And this realization has led Loftus to consult on numerous legal cases, often defending individuals accused of serious crimes.
So she's not just studying memory in a lab, she's really putting this research into action and fighting for justice in real-world situations.
Absolutely. For Loftus, it's about ensuring that legal decisions are based on facts and not potentially unreliable memories.
Loftus's work has not been without controversy, though, especially when it comes to the topic of so-called recovered memories. This is where the debate gets really heated.
The term recovered memories refers to memories of traumatic events, often from childhood, that were supposedly forgotten and later recovered through therapy or other means.
But Loftus really challenges the accuracy of these recovered memories, and she suggests they can sometimes be more fiction than fact. Some even compare her stance to dismissing claims of alien abductions. Why is this area so contentious?
It's a complex issue because it involves weighing personal experiences, right, against scientific understanding. Loftus argues that while these memories feel very real to the individuals who are experiencing them, they can be heavily influenced by suggestion, which could lead to false recollections of events that never actually happened.
So how has Loftus's research been used to kind of challenge the validity of recovered memories in legal cases?
Well, one of the most well-known cases involving Loftus is that of George Franklin. He was convicted of murder based solely on his daughter's recovered memory of him committing the crime.
Wait, so a conviction based entirely on a single recovered memory?
Yes. However, Franklin was later exonerated and released from prison after serving 5 years. This highlights the immense impact these memories can have, even when potentially inaccurate.
That's a truly sobering example. It raises questions about the weight that's given to recovered memories, especially in legal settings.
Exactly. And Loftus didn't shy away from the controversy surrounding this topic, even when it meant facing backlash from some in the psychology community.
She even resigned from the American Psychological Association in 1996 because of the intensity of the debate.
Yeah, her involvement in cases like Franklin's and her willingness to challenge prevailing beliefs about recovered memories sparked intense debate, but ultimately shaped the landscape of memory research.
And speaking of shaping research, Loftus didn't just kind of critique these existing ideas. She also conducted studies that directly demonstrated how easily false memories could be implanted. Tell me about her Lost in the Mall experiment.
In this study, Loftus and her team created this fake memory of getting lost in a shopping mall as a child and presented it to participants along with real childhood memories provided by their families.
So they essentially planted a completely fabricated event into the mix. What happened?
Surprisingly, 25% of the participants ended up remembering this completely made-up event, sometimes even describing it in more vivid detail than actual childhood experiences.
Wow, 25%. That's a pretty significant number. It's almost like our minds can be tricked into believing something happened even when it didn't.
That's precisely what Loftus's research reveals.
Hmm?
It highlights the incredible power of suggestion and the inherent fallibility of our memories.
It really makes you wonder if we can be led to believe we were lost in a mall. What other false memories might we be carrying without even realizing it?
That's a thought-provoking question, and it speaks to the need for increased awareness and critical thinking when it comes to our own memories.
So where do we go from here? Have attitudes toward recovered memories shifted at all in light of Loftus's work?
Interestingly, yes, more recent research has shown a decline in the number of therapists who believe in the absolute accuracy of hypnotically recovered memories.
That's a step in the right direction, but I imagine there are still some lingering misconceptions out there.
You're right. For example, some therapists still hold on to the belief that hypnosis can unlock memories from infancy, which Loftus and many others consider completely impossible.
So while we've made some progress, it seems like the memory wars are far from over. There's still work to be done in educating people about the complexities and vulnerabilities of memory.
Absolutely. But Loftus's groundbreaking research has laid the foundation for a more informed and critical understanding of how memory truly works. And that understanding is crucial not just for the legal system, but for all of us as individuals navigating a world where misinformation and manipulation are increasingly prevalent.
This deep dive is already making me question everything I thought I knew about memory, and we've only just scratched the surface.
There's so much more to explore, especially when we delve into the various types of memory and their unique characteristics.
Okay, let's take a deeper dive into those different types of memory and uncover how they can be influenced and even distorted. So we've been talking about memory as this single thing, but I'm guessing it's a bit more complicated than that, right?
You're absolutely right. It's not just one big blob of memories. We actually have different types of memory, each serving its own purpose.
Like, what are some of the different types, and how do they all work together?
Oh, think about what you had for breakfast this morning. That information is stored in what's called your short-term memory. It's kind of like a mental notepad where you just jot down information that you need to access quickly.
But that notepad can get pretty full pretty quickly, especially with, just the world we live in, right?
Exactly. And if you don't actively rehearse or use that information, it tends to fade away fairly quickly.
So what happens to the memories that don't fade away? Where do they go?
Well, that's where long-term memory comes in. Think of it as a vast library filled with all the knowledge, all the experiences, and the skills that you've accumulated throughout your life.
Okay, so the things that make it into this mental library are the ones that really stick with us. But we've been talking about how memories can be distorted. So is even our long-term memory vulnerable to this?
Even though long-term memories feel more solid, they can still be altered or reshaped over time. It's a process that's called memory reconsolidation. So every time you recall a memory, you're essentially opening it up for editing.
Oh, wow. So it's not just about new information kind of sneaking in, but it's also our old memories getting tweaked each time we revisit them.
Precisely. And those edits can be influenced by all sorts of things. Our current emotions, new information that we encounter, even the way that someone asks us about a particular memory.
So it's like our memories are constantly being rewritten, almost like a collaborative project with multiple authors.
That's a great way to put it. And sometimes, those authors might have their own agendas or biases, which could lead to memories that aren't entirely accurate.
Which brings us back to those real-world implications, especially in the legal system. Knowing that memory is so malleable, how can we ensure that justice is served?
That's where Loftus's work has been instrumental. She's advocated for changes in the way that police conduct lineups, for example.
Because the traditional lineup where you see all the suspects at once can be pretty suggestive, right?
Exactly. It's kind of like a multiple choice test where you're forced to pick an answer even if you're not 100% sure.
So it encourages guessing and can lead to witnesses choosing someone based on familiarity rather than actual recognition.
Right. And Loftus has championed the use of sequential lineups where witnesses view one suspect at a time. This forces them to compare each individual to their memory without the influence of other faces.
That seems like a much more accurate way to test memory, making it less about picking someone who stands out and more about genuine recognition.
Exactly. It reduces the chance of a false identification, which is crucial in ensuring fair trials.
Loftus has also pushed for changes in the way police interrogate suspects, right? Because those questions can really impact someone's memory, especially in those high-pressure situations.
Absolutely. The way that questions are phrased can subtly influence a witness or a suspect and lead them to provide information that aligns with the questioner's expectations.
It's like that classic study we talked about earlier where just changing the word contacted to smashed altered people's memories of the car accident.
Exactly. So investigators need to be incredibly careful about the language they use, avoiding what are called leading questions that could contaminate someone's recollection of events.
So it's this delicate balance between gathering information and preserving the integrity of someone's memory.
Precisely. And this is where training and awareness become paramount. Not just for police officers, but for anyone involved in the legal system. Lawyers, judges, even therapists.
Because they all need to understand those nuances of memory and the potential for error.
Right. It's about recognizing that memory isn't a simple playback system. It's a very dynamic process that's constantly being shaped and reshaped by various factors.
And realizing this has major implications for how we view evidence and testimony, especially when someone's freedom hangs in the balance.
Yeah, a wrongful conviction based on faulty memory is a tragedy not just for the individual, but for the entire justice system.
Yeah, it undermines public trust and allows the real perpetrator to remain free and potentially endanger others.
Exactly. It's a very sobering reminder that we need to approach memory with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Okay, so we've talked about these systemic changes that are needed, but what about us as individuals? What can we do in our everyday lives to be more mindful of our own memories and protect ourselves from misinformation?
That's a great question. First and foremost, be skeptical of your own memories. Don't assume that everything you remember is perfectly accurate.
So it's like questioning our own internal narrator, recognizing that they might not always have the full story or might be embellishing a bit.
Precisely. And pay attention to those memories that feel particularly vivid or emotionally charged. They might be more susceptible to distortion.
Because sometimes the memories that feel the most real are the ones we need to examine most closely.
Right. And be wary of sources of information that might have a vested interest in shaping your memories. Certain media outlets or social media platforms thrive on sensationalism and often present information in a way that's designed to elicit strong emotional responses.
So those clickbait headlines and emotionally charged stories can actually influence how we remember events.
Exactly. It's really important to diversify your information sources, seek out different perspectives, and just be critical of what you're consuming.
And it's okay to admit when you don't remember something perfectly right. Sometimes our memories are just fuzzy, and that's normal.
Absolutely. It's much better to acknowledge uncertainty than to cling to a potentially false memory.
So embracing that memory is an ongoing process that's constantly being updated and revised.
Right. And thankfully, we have scientists like Elizabeth Loftus who are continuously uncovering the complexities of this really amazing human faculty.
Yeah, her work has truly revolutionized our understanding of memory and its role in our lives.
It's a reminder that we all have a responsibility to be guardians of our own memories.
To protect them from distortion and ensure that they accurately reflect our experiences.
And to recognize that memories are ultimately stories that we tell ourselves about who we are.
And those stories have incredible power to shape our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions.
So let's strive to make those stories as accurate and authentic as possible.
Wow. What a powerful message. It's been an incredibly insightful deep dive so far into the world of memory.
And we still got more to uncover. There are things you can do to actually improve your memory function.
Okay, so not just protecting our memories, but making them stronger too. Tell me more about that.
So we've been talking about protecting our memories from all of these outside influences. But can we actually do things to improve our memory itself? It almost seems like something that's just, there.
It might feel that way, but there are actually things you can do to make your memory stronger and more resilient.
Like brain training apps. Those are pretty popular these days. Those can be helpful for certain cognitive skills, but when it comes to just overall memory function, some of the best strategies are surprisingly simple.
Like what? Spill the secrets.
Well, one of the most powerful things you can do is exercise. Regular physical activity has been shown to improve blood flow to the brain, which can enhance memory and cognitive function.
So hitting the gym isn't just good for our bodies, it's a workout for our brains too.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be anything too strenuous. Even moderate exercise like brisk walking or swimming can make a difference.
What about sleep? I know I definitely don't function at my best when I'm sleep deprived.
Sleep is absolutely crucial for memory consolidation. During sleep, your brain is busy processing and storing information that you've encountered throughout the day.
So those late-night study sessions might not be as effective as we think if we're not getting enough rest afterward.
Exactly. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep each night to give your brain the time it needs to solidify those memories.
Okay, exercise, sleep. What else can we do to boost our brain power?
Diet plays a role too. A healthy diet rich in fruits, vegetables, and omega-3 fatty acids provides the nutrients that your brain needs to function optimally.
So those brain-boosting supplements might not be necessary if we're already eating a balanced diet.
Right. And just like our bodies benefit from a variety of foods, our brains thrive on mental stimulation.
So challenging ourselves with new activities and learning new skills.
Exactly. Things like puzzles, crosswords, learning a new language, or even taking up a new hobby can help keep your brain sharp and engaged.
It's almost like we need to treat our brains like muscles. The more we use them, the stronger they become.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And just like with physical exercise, consistency is key. Make brain-boosting activities a regular part of your routine.
So it's not about cramming in a crossword puzzle every now and then, but incorporating these activities into our daily lives.
Right. And remember, it's never too late to start. Even small changes can make a huge difference in the long run.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. It's made me realize that memory isn't just this passive thing we're stuck with. We can actually take control and shape it in positive ways.
That's exactly the message I hope you take away from this deep dive. Your memory is a precious gift, one that deserves to be nurtured and protected.
And by understanding its complexities and vulnerabilities, we can become better guardians of our own memories and the stories that they tell.
And remember, those stories ultimately shape who we are and how we experience the world.
So let's strive to make them stories worth telling, stories filled with accuracy, clarity, and meaning.
Beautifully said. It's been a pleasure diving into the fascinating world of memory with you.
And with you, our listener. We hope this journey has left you with a newfound appreciation for this incredible human faculty and a commitment to treating your memory with the care and respect it deserves. Until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and never stop exploring the wonders of your own mind.